Paul Haslam, you're standing as an independent candidate to be the next MP for Harrogate and Knaresborough. What's made you want to stand again? Because we last saw you standing to be the mayor of the county. What's sort of motivated you again this time?
So, do you ever ask yourself that question? The question is, why aren't things going right? And why don't they improve things? Well, I asked myself that question in 2014, and that's why I became a councillor. And I'm asking myself that question again. Why are things not right at the moment? And I believe it's because people are fed up with the party system, but they're also fed up with the candidates they have on offer. And I believe that I can offer a viable alternative. Not only that, is I do things because they're the right thing to do. I don't do things because I think they're going to get me elected. I'm there if I'm involved with Woodfield School, for example. I fought tooth and nail for over 3 years to keep that school open. Now, I didn't win that result. However, what I did do is make sure that that building will be used as a school in future. So I'm a fighter, and I fight for other things. I fought against the relief road. Again, I fought and we won that particular road. One of the things we haven't followed through on is all the alternatives that they said they would do to help decongest the town. So that's really why I'm fighting for this. I'm fighting because we're not delivering. We make fine words from the council and from local government and from central government, but we're not driving it through. We're not completing the game. For me, we need to get on, and I need to be somebody who can make a change. And I believe I've made significant changes both in what would have been Harrogate Borough Council and North Yorkshire Council, and now I want to do it on the bigger stage.
And when you look at how people kind of are motivated to vote, do you think people are motivated to vote for a party or an individual or particular manifesto items, if you like, of a party? What do you think is going to grab people to vote for you?
So I think the challenge is, particularly on what is a national election, is people are going to be caught by the national fervour. But in actual fact, if you look at things, it's what happens on the ground that builds to a total. However, I think there's a lot of tribalism going on right now. It's either get the Tories out, or get the Lib Dems in, or get Labour in. There's a lot of different choices of how people are doing it, but it's coming down to tribalism really, and people are following a particular tribe, and I just don't think that works anymore. But the other side of it is, I think a lot of people are very disenfranchised, and I think the turnout will be very low. I think that the Labour vote will hold up, and the Conservative vote will fall, and the Lib Dem vote may or may not change. But essentially, we've got two main parties. One who's saying we're going to be good, and one that's saying we're going to be slightly better than them. And I don't think that's really a really good choice. But that's what people are faced with at the moment. And I think just even putting one independent into government will start to shake things up. It'll hopefully make people think, and I certainly will be making things happen there.
And when you look at an independent, then obviously you're a free man, aren't you, to set your manifesto as you wish.
Yeah.
And I know you've spent some considerable time, haven't you, putting a very measured sort of manifesto together. How have you approached putting that together?
So I've been a councillor for 10 years, and I've looked at all the different issues that are wrong, as well as what are right, and how we do more of the right stuff and how we do less of the poor stuff. How do we really do those things, and what are the right things to do? Not necessarily what are the things we should we perhaps think we should be doing, but what should we really be doing? So we've got environmental change, we've got the cost of living crisis right now. So I've gone through the top 8 or 9 different issues that are on the doorstep. And they're not all just on the doorstep here in Harrogate, they're on the doorstep right across the country, but also right across Europe. I've looked at the surveys as to what's really going on out there. And cost of living comes top. The health services come in second. The price of energy. Actually, environmentalism is actually down at number 8, which I'm staggered at. But it's because we've got all these other issues. It's about adult care, and we need to work through these. And I've constructed my manifesto looking at all these different issues, but also how we can tackle and improve them. So let's just take the NHS for a second. One of the biggest problems is the NHS is collapsing under the amount of what I'll call obesity and diabetes. Now, if we were to start to look at that from a prevention issue, and we said actually we need to move some of the money that's in the NHS, and in particular in pharmaceuticals, and we moved it into giving people better nutrition and better food, then people would be healthier and there'd be less pressure on the NHS. We need to move from treating symptoms to finding preventions and treating the causes of problems, whether it's, in this case I'm talking about the NHS, but if it's about absence from school, etc., etc., we need to be looking at prevention, and that's the way I think we should move the money.
And is that something that we're not seeing a lot of bigger picture thinking at the moment? So
no.
For instance, the Conservatives have said that they want to cut spend on prisons, but yet at the moment in some areas they've introduced measures to not put people into prison, or not arrest them in the first place when they potentially go to prison. But there doesn't seem to be a lot of that bigger picture thinking, looking at, well, why are so many people in prison? Why are they ending up there in the first place? How are they being stopped to be repeat offenders? Is that kind of one of the basis then of your kind of strategy then, the higher level thinking?
So in my manifesto, I haven't looked at the prisons per se, but my background as a management consultant would make me say, what's the cause? What's got these people here? And some of it actually starts in school. We know at the moment we have people that are excluded from school. The first thing that I find from talking to teachers' assistants in particular is that the pupil that's being excluded or kicked out of the classroom often hasn't had breakfast. So why are we not making sure that they're getting good nutritious breakfast? I've been campaigning for several years now that all schools across North Yorkshire should have free breakfast for all pupils. And there are trusts out there that will provide the money to do this. Kellogg's have a trust, Greggs the Bakers have a trust, and I'm not suggesting that Greggs will offer you free sausage rolls. They will offer you funding for that. So what's key is that that funding is used and we take it up, and that can start to get the meals sorted. Then what about lunch? Is the school lunch a balanced, nutritious lunch? Because some of these kids, when they get home in the evening, might not get that balanced, nutritious approach, because one of the challenges is healthy food right now is about 3 times the cost of what I'll call ultra-processed foods that don't really help people, don't really sustain themselves.
Well, I was in a city at the weekend, and the thing that really amazed me was the amount of takeaway delivery cycles that were around everywhere. And at one time, even in my time, I've never known there'd be so many restaurants and particularly so many takeaways. We seem to have this sort of boon of takeaway food that is largely not that healthy as a regular option.
No, well, the man who spent his life eating McDonald's to prove a point actually has died at a very early age. And I know he made a big film of it, but it didn't do him any good, and he has died. As I
think in fairness to him, he only ate it for a month, didn't he?
Yeah, I know, but
and he got really unwell, I think.
But the point is that we need to sort of look at nutrition and all these things, but it's also about opportunity. If we don't create enough opportunities for people, then they find other things to do. And they might, and we're sort of gregarious creatures. And if a friend or an associate's doing something that helps them make money, and it's not necessarily a legal profession, then they move. But this whole prison thing, we need to. But reoffending right now, reoffending is about 80% of the prison population, as far as I can tell. So we need to be doing much more about rehabilitation. There's only Timpson's that I know, which is a retailer, that actually will definitely employ former prison mates. And we need to give people a second chance, and we need to help them get on, for want of a better phrase, the straight and narrow.
And I think Timpson's also helped them to get
accommodation
and interviews, and so I think they have a bit of a policy, don't they?
They'll lend them suits for further jobs and opportunities.
So just talking about your campaign then, so being independent then, it obviously means you haven't got the sort of a party machine behind you, but I know you've certainly got individuals behind you that are supporting what you're doing. What's your approach then with campaigning? How can people find out about you?
So obviously with this general election, then I've dropped one leaflet only for people to get access. I'm very much on social media, particularly Facebook and Twitter. I'm trying to extend it to TikTok and Instagram, but I'm still, if anybody's out there that's got those skills that they can give me a quick lesson, then I would be a quick study and learn. I'm getting it out there. One of the other things that I've done is I've had these cards printed because I didn't want to create thousands of leaflets. I don't know how many Lib Dem leaflets I've had, but it's got to be somewhere around 6 in the last few weeks. And there's a QR code on here, and that will take you straight to my website, where I've got a detailed manifesto. There's detail about me, there's detail about how you can help or support me, and all that type of information. So I've tried to embrace new technology, and I've also tried to be very conscious of the fact that there is a climate emergency, and we shouldn't be creating any more waste than necessary. And in fact, on the bottom of my website, there's actually a carbon dioxide monitor of how much carbon dioxide my website has created.
Paul, thank you for today. But let's get back together and we'll talk. We've got a few weeks here, haven't we? I think. How many weeks of 4th of July?
17 days, I believe.
17 days. I knew you'd know. Down to the day.
Exactly, and the hour, and the minute.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Thank you.